Tampa again. I'm joined here this morning with Commissioner Mark Glass, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, Special Agent in Charge from the Tampa office, Mark Brutinel, and Special Counsel from our Office of Statewide Prosecution, Rita Peters. It's good to be back. I wish it was to talk about something more uplifting, but we do have a big announcement this morning that we are busting an international child pornography ring. We will be bringing charges against 8 individuals this morning, 7 of whom are Florida residents. As a dad of 3 little ones, it's tough to talk about some of this stuff, but what these guys were doing was truly heinous. There's not a word in the English dictionary that can describe the gross content that was on the videos. Our investigators have been able to get their hands on over 1 million videos showing sexual abuse on minors. Many of these individuals were babies that are being sold around the world. The 2023 National Center for Missing and Exploited Children reports over 36 million instances of suspected child sexual exploitation and over 100 million files related to child sex abuse material. And that's only what's getting reported. This continues to be a problem in our country, in our state. Protecting our kids is not an easy task to begin with, and today, with the access to the internet and social media, it allows these sick predators to more easily get access to our kids. And as I've said, my first 5-6 weeks on the job here, that's going to be a major priority for my office. The individuals that are being busted today that purchased this harmful content, many of them found it through TikTok. It was available online. They found access to a portal where they could purchase this dangerous material. TikTok has shown they can very quickly get stuff off their website. If there's unlicensed music or something going around, they've proven with a flip of a switch they can get it off. And it's taken too long for them to get some of this pornographic material and avenues to purchase harder, more gross content. We've got to get them to be more accountable. So we will be working on that. We are going to hold social media companies accountable that want to put our families and our kids in jeopardy. So today, these 8 defendants are being charged with multiple felony counts, including RICO, money laundering, and purchase of child pornography. Again, I can't tell you in words how gross this content is, but it shows the dangers, the evil that's out there. It is truly evil. And you've got my word that in this state, we are going to do everything we can to hold these people accountable. If you are a child predator, if you are one of these sick people, then I hope you never see the sun again. And I hope you certainly never have access to kids again. So we will continue that fight, and I want to give a very special thanks to Rita Peters from Statewide Prosecution for leading this fight. She's going to slap these guys around in the courtroom, and unfortunately I'm figurative in that comment, but thankful to her, as well as Investigator Abby George, who busted the case. So thank you. I'll turn it over to Commissioner Mark Glass.
Thank you, General. Appreciate it. I just want to say, first and foremost, General Uthmeier has stepped in and stepping up and stepping out. He is really allowing us to just move forward on these types of cases, these long-term cases, and continue on to get these evil, sick people behind bars. I want you to just take a look at that board over here with these folks. And it is just evil. The faces you see there are faces of evil. The General talked about, we can't even talk about what was on those films and what they had because it is that disturbing. More disturbing than you would see even in your movies, way more. It's evil. And the sad part about it, there's many more out there, just like these evil people. Many more, and we know it. And through the hard work and dedication of multi-agencies, such as HSI with DHS, our task force agents from multiple agencies across this Tampa Bay area and the rest of the state, FDLE, and our Office of Statewide Prosecution, we're able to get out there and get these evil people out of our society, put them where they belong, behind bars, answer to their crimes. I'm a father, I'm a brother, I'm a husband, and I'm your state of Florida commissioner on FDLE. And the stuff that these evil people did emboldens not only me, but the men and women behind me to go out and get more people like this off our streets. This will not be tolerated in the state of Florida. And when I became the commissioner of FDLE, this is one of my highest priorities, is going after sexual predators, sex offenders, child molesters, deviants that do this kind of stuff to our children. Not just our children in the United States, we're talking about children all across the world. We would be remiss not to talk about why it was such important to shut down our border. Children that these evil people do these heinous things with came across our border. I was out there, and the people that looks like that's their mother, it's not their mother. They're just muling the kid. And with HSI out there looking up the unaccompanied minors, we're helping them, FDLE shouldering with them to try to find these children that were brought into our system to make sure they're safe. And we want to make sure that every one of these children were safe that came across that border, that are here in the United States, first and foremost. But ladies and gentlemen, make no disclaimer here for you. This is evil, and it will not be tolerated in the free state of Florida. I'll be followed up behind me by the Special Agent in Charge, Mark Brutnell, to give you a little bit more in depth about this case. Mark?
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you, Attorney General, for both of your support and your leadership. I know the team really appreciates you guys being here today. Thank you for that. So I'm going to kind of get into a little bit of the weeds of this investigation, which to me, this is one of those career cases. This is one of those cases where you're going to look back 10 years from now and say, I made some change. It was a lot of hard work, and I'm glad I did it, and the results speak for themselves. So what happened was in July of 2024, our agents were working proactively on the internet, looking for individuals that like to sell and distribute child pornography. And our agent found a chat room where he was speaking to an individual who directed him to a website called TributePrintedPics.com, which is on the internet. It's not the dark web, it's the straight internet. So our undercover agent went there and began a conversation with an unknown individual who wanted to sell him child pornography. At the end of the day, our agent purchased 6.7 terabytes of child pornography for $100. So I'm going to put that into context. That 6.7 terabytes is 1.2 million videos and pictures of some of the most egregious, disgusting content we've ever seen. My agent has done this for a long time, and he came to me after that purchase and having to view some of that stuff and said, boss, it was awful. It was awful. For him to say that, it had to be really bad. I've read the affidavits, and it makes me sick. So that's where the case really started off. So within a week after that, working with our Attorney General's office, FDLE and the Attorney General's office, we executed a seizure warrant on that website, TributePrintedPics.com, and we shut it down. We said, you're not selling that stuff on the internet. We shut it down. Within 2 days, several phone calls from law enforcement agencies all across the country, local, state, federal. Thank you guys for doing that. Thank you. A lot of them had active cases, and they could not figure out how to shut this website down. The state of Florida shut it down. So as the case progresses, we identify an individual from New Jersey, Uthmeier Modi. We realized he was a money mule for this organization. Let me back up. In the midst of our undercover chat, we also were directed how to pay the $100 for this 1.2 million files. So we went up to New Jersey, working with those authorities in New Jersey. We executed a search warrant at his residence, an arrest warrant, and with all of his electronics, we did a very thorough scrub of his electronics, which produced a treasure trove of evidence. This is where the case really started to take off. We were able to identify an individual by the name of John DeVille. Clearly that was an alias. We knew that at the time. But John DeVille And Mr. Modi had over 500 transactions. So that's the volume of transactions of this CSAM that they were distributing and selling. Knowing that was clearly an alias, that was when the case really took off. That's when our primary goal was to find out who John was. As a part of this investigation, we were able to identify 7 people in Florida that had purchased this material from John through Modi. And those customers were identified as Brett Ryan Moore from Orange City, Michael Andrew Warden from Kissimmee, Jacob Ross Conley from Fern Park, Cody Vance Jordan Muti from Palm Bay, and Israel Cole Thomas from Lakeland. Now there's 2 customers up here on this board that I'm going to just kind of talk about them briefly. The first one is Frankie Pinero Jr. He is from Groveland, Florida. This individual was listed as a sex offender. He was currently on probation from a child pornography arrest that our office in Orlando did in 2019. He got a very light slap on the wrist for that case, and he was also sentenced to 20 years of probation. We know he bought a large amount of this disgusting material from our guy John, and it was on his phone. So I'm pretty confident, and you'll hear from Rita here in a minute, he's not getting probation on this one. There's no doubt about that. Our second individual was a guy named Brett Allen Snodderly from Clearwater. Again, we know he purchased this material from John. During a search warrant at his residence, we found children's underwear at the residence. Now, we did our due diligence. We're positive he's not a hands-on offender, but obviously great cause for concern. His phone, which was very tech-savvy, we had to bring it back to the office, get into it with a search warrant, proper legal service, which we did. Ultimately, you guessed it, lots of CSAM on the phone. So about 7 days later, we get an arrest warrant. We have Clearwater PD go pick up Mr. Snarley. And when they do, what does he have? He has a new phone with even more child pornography on the phone. I mean, I don't know what to do at this point. You can't fix that, right? So this guy, we have his phone within a week, a new phone, more child pornography. As the investigation continues, always searching for John. We identify through HSI another money mule, Exima McQuada from Portland, Oregon. She was a facilitator for the sale of this disgusting material. She has a current arrest warrant now for money laundering. We also identified suspects in Canada and Ireland, and we're working with HSI in that regard. So finally, after almost a year of diligent work, 140 subpoenas, 20 search warrants, endless hours of analysis. You see this chart here. That's kind of a way to break down the spider web that we had to sift our way through and figure out who's who here. We were able to identify John DeVille as Mehmet Bozayuk from Adana, Turkey. Mr. Mehmet was very deliberate in hiding his identity. He utilized multiple layers of VPNs, money mules, obviously, burner accounts, burner phones. He also used a lot of stolen personal identification information that he would steal off the web to send money through different channels. He really, really believed that he could outsmart us, but at the end of the day, he didn't. He tried to profit on this horrific abuse of children, but we caught him. A little back story on Mr. Mehmet. He's married with 2 kids, and this is his way of making money. We currently have an arrest warrant for him in the system. We are talking with HSI, our partners at HSI, to try to get him extradited to Florida, and I hope we can pull that off because he will be held accountable here in Florida, no doubt about it. An excellent case, the teamwork. Again, as a father, like everyone has mentioned before, I was amazed at these guys, the way their dogged pursuit of him. Again, it's one of those cases where you're going to look back when you're over with this career and say, I made a difference. That's just one network. I'm sure there's several more out there that we are actively going to target as well. So with that, I'm going to bring up ASAC McCombs from HSI to talk about their role in this case. Thank you.
Thank you, SAC Brutnell. It's a great honor to be here today to speak with you all on this case and most importantly our great collaboration with the state of Florida and its partners. No finer partners to have than partners at the state of Florida. FDLE is a tremendous, tremendous partner for us, and the citizens of Florida should be proud for the level of investigative effort that went into this investigation to keeping all of our families safe, to include my own. HSI has 90 offices in 56 countries all around the world, and a number of them were utilized in this investigation to uncover this network. You know, oftentimes we will bring these investigations to the state, but this one was the reverse. They brought us in on this investigation. We're very thankful for that. It's a great partnership when the federal government and the state government can combine resources and leave no stone unturned worldwide to uncover massive amounts of child pornography at a low, global, systemic level, and one that we're going to, you know, work very hard to dismantle. We will not stop in pursuing these investigations. We can't stop, and the level and brutality of these images are sickening, and I've seen a lot. I just want to thank the investigators on this investigation, some of the best that I've seen, the financial analysis, some of the best that I've seen in my 28 years of federal law enforcement, and very, very proud to be a part of this investigative team. And I also want to thank my investigators at Homeland Security Investigations in Tampa. Thank you.
Good morning. By way of reintroduction, excuse me, my name is Rita Peters, and I have the pleasure of serving under as Attorney General James Uthmeier at the Office of Statewide Prosecution. I specialize in matters involving human trafficking, sex crimes, child exploitation, and I have been doing that for about 26 years. And to say that the images and videos that I observed in this case were the most horrendous is an understatement. In July 2024, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement contacted me to assist in an investigation regarding a sale of images of child exploitation, child sexual abuse material. We learned that for $100, they were able to obtain links that led them to over 1 million videos of children involved in some of the most heinous types of sexual brutality that I have ever seen. Brutality that involved infants, necrophilia, brutal sexual battery, and molestation. These horrific pictures and videos capture real, identifiable children whose names are in the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. These children have been identified series within that directory. They are victims of human trafficking. They're also victims of sexual battery and a plethora of other crimes. And these kids are from the United States. We began by sending subpoenas to multiple companies to start the paper trail and see where we were going. That was followed up with search warrants to various financial entities, as well as online communication applications. And then we kept following that paper trail until we finally learned the identity of our main distributor, Mehmet from Turkey. Through our past investigative experiences and information that we were able to obtain in the early stages of our investigation, we determined that the vehicle that was used by Mehmet was tributepprintedpics.com. And very quickly, we shut that down. We seized that website, and FDLE was able to shut it down. And as you've heard, multiple agencies, we actually heard from global agencies, England as well, that they thanked us for shutting that website down because it had been such a source of a problem. Through the following steps, we isolated the individuals that you see on that board who took part in not only the distribution by Mr. Mehmet, but also the purchase of all of these images. It is because of that desire to see children being brutally raped, the demand for that this was possible. In addition, we learned that Mr. Boziuk Mehmet also employed identification from other individuals stolen on the dark web to use their financial resources or their financial accounts to obtain funds from buyers to also sell this child pornography. We spoke to 2 of those individuals who had no idea that their financial accounts had been utilized for that purpose, one of whom was in Canada that broke down. He filtered money through these accounts just so that he can enrich himself through the sale of child pornography. These individuals have all been charged in Hillsborough County Court. Krunal Kumar Narashabi Modi from New Jersey is facing a 65-year sentence for RICO, or racketeering, conspiracy to racketeer, and money laundering. Frankie Pinero Jr., who also faced child pornography charges in the 9th Judicial Circuit, is charged with conspiracy to commit RICO, purchase of child pornography, and use of a two-way communication device to commit a felony. 40 years, Florida State Prison. And a side note, Mr. Pinero was charged by our Office of Statewide Prosecution through the Orlando Bureau with the additional child pornography that we obtained off of the electronic items, and he has pled and received a 35-year sentence on that one. So it is just a matter of days before we have him in our jurisdiction. We have Brett Ryan Moore, also charged with conspiracy to commit RICO, purchase of child pornography, and use of a two-way communication device. Again, 40-year sentence. Israel Cole Thompson, conspiracy to commit RICO, purchase of child pornography, and use of a two-way communication device, 40 years. Brett Allen Snodderly, similarly, 40 years. Jacob Ross Conley, 40 years. Cody Vance Jordan Muti, 40 years. Michael Warren, 40 years. And then ultimately we will have Mehmet and also Jimena from Oregon. They will be charged. Mr. Mehmet Boziuk will have a whole host of charges, and his exposure will be well over 400 years in Florida State Prison. It was a pleasure to do this investigation. This was, hands down, just good old-fashioned police work, and that's what it was. It was a partnership. We made ourselves available at all hours, every day, as did every other agency, because it was about saving those children and making sure that we would take this element off of the street. And we look forward to prosecuting these individuals. We look forward to bringing Mr. Boziuk back from Turkey so that he can be answerable to our courts and receive the sentence that he so richly deserves. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Parents and families at home can rest assured knowing Rita's here fighting the fight and keeping our kids safe. With that, we'll open it up if there's any questions.
Do you have Mr. Boziuk in custody in Turkey, or is he currently at large, and is there an avenue to extradite him here?
He is not currently in custody. We are working to get him. We'd like to extradite him over here and hold him accountable here, if at all possible. So we'll be working hard on that.
Will the government of Turkey cooperate?
I think some conversations have begun, but I can't really share much more than that unless somebody else has something to add. No.
So the low-level offenders, we typically see a lot of arrests. Our sheriff judges have a lot of success in that. But this seems to stretch a lot further, and you've gotten into the upper echelons of this horrific network. Can you talk about how meaningful that is to you?
Yeah, cases like this are tough. There's tons of these sick guys out there. There are, and you can stumble upon a guy purchasing something here or there. And then you got kind of the tough decision. You want to get these perverts off the street right away, but you also can see, well, there's more to be had here. So is there more than what's on this board? Possibly, but we're at a point now where we've cracked the large international nature of this ring. Where we got to get these people in and hold them accountable. We'll keep looking. We'll keep investigating on the peripheries here, see who else might fall under our authority. But you've hit on the tough spot. How hard do you keep investigating versus getting dangerous people off the streets? And we were at a point here where we felt like we had to bust these guys. We'll keep working on it, but I think we've learned a lot through this investigation that's going to help us as we try to expose and prosecute the larger international efforts here that harm kids.
We've heard a couple of, you mentioned it was a career case or one that you'll never forget. Is that because it went international, because of the amount of images or videos, what was on it? Like, what kind of made it one that stands out from all the others?
I think you hit on both of it. The international element, the fact that you had this guy in Turkey working with a couple people over here to disseminate this largely, and then the volume was tremendous, and then the content. These kids in the videos are being abused again and again, and then to have this content sold and distributed where that victimization continues to occur every single day, just made this a mammoth case of evil. And for our investigator to stumble upon it and to be able to bust it is very meaningful for the state, for the country, really for the world.
And would you mind?
Yeah, come on.
If I could just add one thing to your question there. I think a couple of things make this the career case. To me, the saturation of this stuff on the internet is very concerning. $100 got you 1.2 million videos. That's a big issue, a bigger issue, obviously. But as we targeted our Florida folks, make no mistake, we have a bunch of evidence of individuals around the country, and those leads are going out to other law enforcement agencies across the country. We just focused on Florida first, but the Met had a large-scale international and national network, and we have those folks identified, and those leads are going out. Make no mistake, there'll be more arrests off this. This case is tip of the iceberg.
I ask you about the children, because obviously you have facial recognition software, I'm sure you apply.
Yes.
And there's the missing link to where the children's network. Have you identified any children that, have been abducted or otherwise are part of that network that you'll be able to help them recover?
Yes, sir, not as of yet, but we were able to identify several series of this downloads that have been identified from NCMEC as that, which is also concerning, but also new ones, which we had never seen before. So it was a lot of videos. I mean, again, I go back to when they told me $100 got me 1.2 million, what are we doing? I mean, that's very concerning.
Are you guys able to walk us through sort of this spider web? Is that the hierarchy of power of this ring, or is that sort of like your steps, or just sort of what are we looking at on that?
That is just the depths at which Mehmet covered his tracks. Those are the ways he tried to stay away from his business by using burner phones, burner accounts, stealing uninvolved people's identification and using them as money mules, unbeknownst to them. As Rita said, we spoke to an individual in Canada who had no idea that this guy was using his stuff to facilitate his international child pornography ring. He was very, very slick. Not anymore, though, but he was.
Anybody else? Yeah.
I will ask a question. What are some things that you can encourage families and parents to prevent or to keep their children perhaps away from getting caught up in this kind of web?
Sure.
Some preventions, some different things that,
Yeah, the first thing, if you are not going and looking at social media and what's out there, you need to. And I'm not telling you, go look for porn, but you can see it is not hard to find it on publicly available social media websites like TikTok. As I said before, we're going to be cracking down. They got to get that stuff off of there. But the access, people, they're skilled. They impersonate others, and they try to lure kids in. So if you're teenagers, if you're young people, if they have access to social media, you should be all over that. The legislature passed a great bill a year ago where young kids cannot have access without parental consent, without parental involvement. We're litigating that law right now, and I think it's going to end up in the right way. It's the right thing to do. But you need to be having those conversations with your kids. You need to be exercising controls where you can, if you even want to let your kids have some of this information. I know those are difficult decisions. That's for you as a parent, and for every parent it's going to be a little bit different. But I cannot say enough to scare you about how dangerous social media is for young people right now. I don't know if anybody has anything else to add.
Thank you, sir. Also, when you move somewhere or you're living in a neighborhood, FDLE has a website for you to take a look at, and these clowns are already on it. So now I'm going to call them clowns because they're clowns. They're already on it. So know what's in your neighborhood. Know what's in your neighborhood. Know who your kids are going over to whose house. Know what's going on. Be parentally involved. Do not let the government parent your kids, because the government cannot parent your kids. We can uphold the law, pursue the law, and protect you in that manner. But you as a parent have to be involved with your children at all costs. This is also solid in knowing who's coming in your home, whether it be contractual services, whether you have maids, whether you have you got some work done on your house. Know who you're contracting with. And then we have many websites within the state of Florida, from everything from seeing if it's a reputable company. We already doing you can check the reputable company and knowing who's coming to your house. You can ask the person who's contracting, who's coming to my house? What's their name? You can go online and check it yourself. I recommend a lot of people do that. A lot of people don't do that because they're afraid they'll offend somebody. Trust me, go ahead and offend them, because if they're offended, then there's a problem. Because if I had a business and you were checking to see what contractors coming to my house, I'm going to say, yeah, it's John Q. Smith, it's Joe Citizen, That's who's coming here, and we do background checks in our systems and everything too. Please do yours too. If you see anything, please let us know, because then I would get you off my rolls as an employee. If you're a reputable company, you will do that. If you're not, you're just going to go grab anybody that's there. Remember, a lot of these folks, when they go down this pathway, do not have, they can't get certain jobs because you won't pass your background in around children or in around people. So they go to these type of things. So just pay attention to who's coming to your house and who's in the area. So.
Anything else? Go to the order. Yeah, I'll close by saying two things. One, one of these individuals was on a lighter probation sentence by the state attorney over in Orlando. Just another example of the dangers that can be out there when you have people that want to go soft on crime. So our office is going to be looking at that individual, her conduct going forward. We want to make sure that we are enforcing rule of law, we are upholding the duties that oaths are sworn to in the Constitution, and that we are keeping the streets as safe as we can. And then the second thing I'll say, again, to echo, this was a great team operation. We got a great thing going here in Florida. Our state law enforcement, the AG's office, Homeland Security, and our federal partners, we're working well together, to advance public safety and rule of law. Our state law enforcement officers, they need a raise, a big one. The governor's proposed it. I've been screaming from the hilltop, and hopefully our legislature will come through this year and deliver. It's getting more expensive to live in Florida, as everybody knows, and we're all dealing with that. But these public servants that put their lives on the line every day, it's tough on them. We got to have their backs and help them to be successful. So thanks, everybody. Have a good one.